Am I the a-hole for not renewing my friend's lease, who just came out as trans? Title sounds bad, but hear me out. I have been renting a room to a friend. We're not super close, he is closer to my wife than to me, for the past 10 months. I agreed to rent him a room and was clear from the beginning that it would only be for 1 year to help him get on his feet and be more independent because he was living in a shitty home situation. His parents were financially abusive and guilt-tripped him into spending all his money on them. He asked to rent a room in order to be away from them and save money. As far as bills go, he has paid on time with no issues, but he is a slob and he's incredibly lazy and entitled, and all he does is complain about our house. He's also very loud and eats most of the groceries that we all pay for equally. For these reasons, I've been telling him for a while to prepare himself to move out because I would not be renewing his lease. I don't think he's been saving any money. He only buys expensive brand name items and still spends all his money on his family, even though I've offered to help him budget, so he'll probably have to go back to his parents' house. The part where I may be an R is that he just recently came out as trans. He is male to female trans but has told us he would prefer to still be called by male pronouns for now. I told him that I'm proud of him for being his authentic self and that I have absolutely no problem with him being trans. Everyone in our house is LGBTQ, and left it at that. He brought up his lease and I told him I still had no intention of renewing it because he is again a slob, lazy and generally disrespectful. Not because he is trans. My wife said him an R for not renewing his lease because he would be better off living with us than with his family who may not accept him. I don't think he is my responsibility. He is not a child or my child, and it's not my problem that he hasn't tried to save for his own place if he doesn't want to go back to his family. Am I the a-hole for not offering to renew his lease? TL/Dr. friend who just came out as trans renting room is messy, lazy and rude, so I don't want to renew lease. Wife says I'm an R for not supporting another member of LGBTQ community when they may need it. Am I the a-hole for cussing out a teacher at my sister's school? Throw away because my family knows my main. So recently I, 21F, have started tutoring my little sister J, 16F, after school. Her school started back at the beginning of August. Jay goes to the same high school I did, and has a lot of the same teachers. Now we live in the south, and it is still extremely hot. I am a firm believer in dressing for comfort, and I have passed that belief on to Jay. So she has this teacher we'll call Kay. I had class with Kay in high school, and suffice to say I don't care for her. She is awful. This woman frequently body shames plus-size students, and is notorious for only dress coding the girls. I wouldn't say I'm plus-size, but I'm definitely well-endowed. Kay would constantly make comments about this when I was in her class. So my mum, Jay's stepmom, texted me a few days ago to tell me that Jay has been getting dress coded a lot at school, like every other day. She wanted me to talk to Jay, and take her shopping for more school-appropriate clothes. Well, I agreed, so when Jay was with me yesterday I brought it up. Jay started crying and told me that Kay has been sending her to the office every single class over her outfits. Most of the time, she isn't even breaking dress code. I told my mum about this, but she doesn't think it's a big deal. So here is where I am apparently TA. Today Jay called me sobbing because Kay sent her to the office again. The office sent her back because she wasn't actually breaking dress code, but Kay refused to let her back in the classroom. Kay stated that Jay is too much of a distraction, and she won't be allowed back until she isn't dressed like a slut. Apparently she also said that Jay needs to get her act together and stop acting like her dope sister. No one was around to hear her say these things. Well, I lost my shit. No one treats my baby sister like that. So I went to Jay's school and after checking in at the office, went straight to Kay's classroom. Jay was sitting in the hall sobbing. Honestly, it broke my heart. I started slamming on the door, and said some not so nice things when Kay opened up. I cussed quite a lot. I told her that if she ever mistreated my sister again, I would go to the school board and get her fired. She called me a whore, and told me that I should be ashamed of myself for setting such a bad example for my sister. I grabbed Jay and left, still cussing up a storm. I apologized if I embarrassed her, and Jay said that it was awesome. Around 5 I got a screaming phone call from my mum. She accused me of humiliating Jay, and using her to get my own revenge. Apparently I should have just let Jay deal with it herself. I told my mum that if she has done something sooner, I wouldn't have had to. Now my mom is banning me from spending time with Jay until I apologize to Kay. I don't think I'm in the wrong, but I feel like I should just apologize so I can see Jay again. So Reddit, am I the a-hole for causing a scene at my sister's school? Am I the a-hole for saying something about his BO? My BF has decided to stop wearing deodorant because he doesn't want the chemicals on his body. Well, quite frankly, he stinks. It's a major turn-off and I find myself not even wanting to hug him anymore, let alone have sex. So I said something to him. Delicately. Mentioned holistic remedies and aluminum-free deodorants. He got really mad, said I was controlling and that it's all my problem and I should just get over it. I responded that BO is gross to most people, and he asked if I spoke to most people on the planet. He called me an R and stormed out. That was 3 days ago. So, am I the a-hole for asking him to control his stinky pits? Edit/update. Thank you everyone for your responses and the overwhelming support. This is not the first time I felt he was being selfish and childish, and I think I need to trust my gut feelings more. I have had to speak to numerous students throughout the years about their BO, so I have had some practice being tactful and kind when approaching this embarrassing type of sitch. A few of you said maybe he's trying to get me to break up with him. Maybe. Although he's always been direct, so I don't know. Anyway, thanks for making me feel like a regular person and not an R. Am I the a-hole for refusing to teach my friend for free something I studied for 10 years? I have a friend, who I am honestly considering cutting ties with, who is constantly working on getting his shit together, his own words, but never actually accomplishing it. He is 24 and I am 32. His first career of choice is a model, but he doesn't even have an agent and just did a bunch of non-paying local fashion show for the last 5 years. We live in NYC and if he really wanted to, he would put the effort to try to get an agent. However, his whole goal is just to simply be famous with no clear way of getting there or having anything to offer. His much older boyfriend supports him now. I am an actress and have studied acting for 10 years in a number of well-known acting schools in NYC. I have a degree in theater on top of that. I am working towards writing a web series and have enrolled in a screenwriting program to get better at the craft of writing in order to write this TV show and get grants to make it. I have a weird feeling he is only my friend because he wants to be connected to me and the show. Today he told me we should shoot it soon. I said hello COVID, so that's not happening, plus the grants I want to apply for have been cancelled until 2021. All of a sudden he starts telling me that he wants to be an actor. He then tells me maybe you can teach me about acting. I say sorry, I don't want to be an acting teacher. Properly learning to act takes a lot of time and even if I wouldn't do it for free. He doesn't have a job or any savings. This is when he got mad at me. Maybe I shouldn't have said anything regarding I wouldn't do it for free, but he has to realize what he is acting of me. I told him he could read some books and I'll give him one that I really like from my studies. We then were talking about another person we know who refused to help me with something and he said, "Oh, see, that's just like you not wanting to help me and teach me about acting." I said that's not the same thing. The other person only needed to send an email to someone to help me, but he is expecting me to spend hours of my time with him. For free. I told him that I have spent thousands of dollars on becoming a better actor over the years and it's not fair to just expect that I would freely give my time for this. I told him that I know a TV showrunner in France who I have talked to about my goals for screenwriting and can technically ask her to teach me about screenwriting, but that's absurd. I certainly do not expect her to give me that much of her time or ask her to do it for free. Despite all of this, I suspect he is still mad at me. Maybe I should just end the friendship because I have run into a lot of other issues with him, and our age difference and how we approach life in general is really showing, I think. Thank you for reading. Am I the a-hole for not wanting to watch my brother's children all the time? I am 20F and my brother is 25. I don't have any children and he has 3 by 2 different women. One of his sons lives with his mom most of the time. His other son and daughter live with us every other week. Our mom and I work from home and watch his kids while he is at work, which isn't a problem. But when he is off of work he still expects us to watch them. He always leaves without telling anyone. When I do catch him when he's leaving and ask where he is going, he says nowhere and then leaves. He still doesn't ask to watch them. He'll be gone for hours hanging out with his friends. When he comes back he doesn't even say thank you or offer us money for it, which he used to. It annoys me, but I don't say anything. If our mom is home she'll take care of them, he still doesn't ask her to. Sometimes she'll leave to go to the store or get her nails done and just leave them at home with me. I get annoyed and tell her to take them with her and she gets angry with me, when it's not my fault that he left them with her. They are well-behaved children and listen to us well, but I just don't want to do it anymore, especially now that they are doing online school. I've watched them for 6 years, pretty much since they were born. I'm sick of being taken advantage of and not being appreciated. I'm thinking of telling them not to leave with me at all, not even for a second, because of this. Am I the a-hole? Am I the a-hole for giving my sister until the end of the year to find her own place, or I'll kick her out? This is a bit more complicated than it sounds. The reason my sister lives with me is because I am her legal guardian, as we lost our parents 3 years ago. I am 22 and she is 18 now. Into the question/context, a little over 3 years ago my parents died in a car crash. I won't go into too much detail. Since we didn't have any other family, the question of what would happen to us came up quickly. I was 19 at the time, had my own 1-bedroom apartment and a shitty job. I was saving up for a backpacking trip before going to college. That said, I essentially had housing, a job and lived in a relatively good neighborhood. Meanwhile my sister was 15, so it was either me or the foster system, and despite the fact we never really got along, I figured she was my sister, so we get through this together. I became her legal guardian and put my own life on hold. I did my best, but honestly, it was hell. I had hoped she realized given the situation she also had to grow up faster despite her age, but truth be told I was also barely an adult. I was essentially working 2 shitty jobs 60 hours a week to provide a proper living standard, only to come home to a mess, her trying to provoke arguments, her having a heap of friends over, etc. That said, I did succeed in forcing her to finish high school with decent grades, which was difficult enough. I also had plenty of talks with her, involved counselors, even got her to see a psychiatrist to no avail. 2 days ago we had a massive argument, in which she told me I never do anything for her, I am a massive asshole, she will never speak to me again, and so on. And honestly, I just lost it. 3 years of putting my own life on hold for her, never asking for any thanks, and this is what I get? I told her she was an ungrateful brat and she should just for once in her egocentric lazy excuse for a life to be grateful and pull her weight. This derailed into an even bigger argument. However, I am done. I want to go to college, have a girlfriend that she won't chase away. I want a damn life beyond working 60 hours a week, coming home to a shithole with her yelling at me. So I told her she has until the end of the year to move out. She pulled a complete 180 and started crying, asking me to forgive her, how she didn't want to leave, how she won't survive on her own. So I told her that I did the same thing, but unlike her I also had to take care of a 15-year-old. A year later, this seemed to hit a chord and she has been apologetic ever since, which is totally out of character. However, I am not changing my mind. Am I TA? Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe for more juicy Reddit relay content.